This is the headline.
And that is the news that I was fired from the Big 3.
Rachel Demita out from Big 3. She's no longer with the Big 3.
She has been fired by Ice Cube and the Big 3.
After Caitlin Clark tweets during game.
I think in general, this is kind of a crazy thing.
This is crazy.
This is hate, man. This is unbelievable.
Rachel Demita just got fired from the Big 3 for doing one thing.
They fired Rachel Demita for her Caitlin Clark tweets during game, for showing love out here.
Look, it's dangerous being a Caitlin Clark fan out here.
Showing love to Caitlin Clark. That's it. A single tweet highlighting Clark's greatness, and suddenly she's out.
The Big 3 basketball league has outdrawn when Demita was tweeting about Caitlin Clark highlights this past Saturday during a game.
If you're 100% with Caitlin Clark, drop a 100% in the comments right now. Because this move by the Big 3 isn't just petty, it's a message.
This is just another weird thing to add to the Caitlin Clark effect.
And Caitlin should reject their offer for good.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
Let's break down exactly what happened.
I tweeted this highlight three-pointer of Caitlin Clark, and it said, "For those who question the hype," and that was a tweet that directly came from me. I have never been fired from anything in my life, and now I guess I can say I have been fired.
Rachel Demita, known to millions from NBA 2K and her WNBA coverage, was working as a sideline correspondent for the Big 3, Ice Cube's professional 3-on-3 basketball league.
Popular basketball influencer Rachel Demita's time with Ice Cube's Big 3 basketball league has come to an end.
But during that same game day, something bigger was happening in women's basketball. Caitlin Clark was going off against the New York Liberty. It was a moment.
When Caitlin Clark was going insane against the New York Liberty.
3 threes in 38 seconds.
3 threes in 38 seconds stuff. This was kind of a really special moment in Caitlin Clark's career.
A highlight explosion.
Rachel Demita shared a video of Clark with Deep 3 saying, "For those who question the hype."
Naturally, people were reacting. Rachel, like countless fans, did too. She posted a tweet with a clip of Clark's deep three-pointer and captioned it, "For those who question the hype."
This is supposedly said tweet right here. All right. And all she said was those who question the hype. So evidently this tweet, which probably took not more than 20 seconds to put together and go out, allegedly got her run off.
That's all. One sentence, one show of support. And for that, the Big 3 fired her. At 11 p.m. Tuesday night, Rachel's team got an email with her termination notice.
I was fired from the Big 3. The rumors are true. I was fired from the Big 3, and my team received an email at 11 p.m. on Tuesday with a letter that essentially said that I had been terminated.
No warning, no conversation, no context. The email claims she showed a severe lapse in judgment for tweeting during the Big 3 broadcast and promoting a competing league. But here's the thing. Rachel wasn't watching the WNBA game. She was doing her job.
I did continue to tweet about that game, but it was after the Big 3 broadcast.
Conducting interviews, reporting from the court, locked in. She tweeted a few things during breaks, just like she did every other game, even during season 1. Let's be honest, this wasn't about distraction. This was about Caitlin Clark.
Big 3 commentator Rachel Demita let go after posting a Caitlin Clark tweet.
Because no one is getting fired for tweeting about any other player in the middle of a broadcast. This wasn't some unprofessional meltdown or repeated failure. This was one tweet, one moment of recognition, and it cost her everything. Even Rachel admitted she was blindsided. She had no signed contract this season yet, but was working in good faith.
I hadn't signed a contract yet for this season. My agent was still in talks to make sure just everything was settled out, and we were just working in good faith.
Attending the draft, doing media, showing up. No one at the Big 3 ever raised an issue. No warning. Just an instant dismissal for giving Caitlin Clark her flowers. And here's what makes it worse. Rachel wasn't just a minor figure. She brought huge social reach. 1 million followers on Instagram, 278,000 on X, 452,000 on TikTok, and 362,000 on YouTube.
Demita is, of course, the former host of 2K TV. 278,000 followers on X, 452,000 on TikTok, 1 million on the InstaFace, and 362,000 on YouTube.
She was literally giving the big three more eyes, more clout, more relevance. And yet, a simple nod to Clark made her expendable. That's not just bad business, that's personal.
I believe her agents were hating on it. Because her agents that she has are also NBA. They got a lot of NBA guys that they make millions off of. So I think they was like, man, we don't care if she making more money. She gonna go back to the WNBA. We're gonna keep everybody happy. We're gonna keep making our money from the boys.
Now here's where things get really shady, because on the surface, it looks like Rachel was fired for tweeting during a broadcast. But when you connect the dots, it's clear. This wasn't just about timing. This was about who she tweeted about. Caitlin Clark. Let's rewind. Earlier this year, Ice Cube and the Big Three made headlines offering Caitlin Clark a $10 million contract over 2 years to play in the league.
They offered Caitlin Clark 2 years at $10 million, $5 million a year to play in the Big Three.
That was huge. It was bold, aggressive, and let's be honest, smart. Ice Cube saw what the WNBA couldn't, that Caitlin Clark is box office. But Clark turned it down. She chose to go to the WNBA, not the BIG3, and that stung. Now fast forward to last weekend. Rachel, who wasn't even officially under contract but still doing courtside coverage, tweets out a clip of Caitlin during the game, not criticizing the Big Three, not promoting a rival broadcast, just acknowledging greatness. That tweet, according to multiple sources, was the so-called final straw.
The final straw that led to the parting was when Demita tweeted about Caitlin Clark highlights this past Saturday during a game.
But what final straw? There's no public history of issues between Rachel and the Big Three.
When I see final straw, that makes me think there were issues leading up to this.
She wasn't late. She wasn't off her game. She was doing her job, just like she had in previous seasons. The truth is, this smells like retaliation, not just against Rachel, but against Caitlin, against the idea of supporting Caitlin Clark in any public way. And Rachel wasn't the only one catching heat. Supporting Caitlin Clark out loud has consequences.
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
Whether it's media personalities, creators, or players, being on Caitlin's side can make you a target. One creator even said it straight. It's dangerous being a Caitlin Clark fan out here. Rachel's firing is proof. She didn't attack anyone. She didn't bash the league. She sent a single tweet, and now she's out. And it wasn't even just Rachel's followers who were confused. People started digging, looking for complaints from fans, backlash, anything that would justify the firing. But there was none.
If you look at the responses, there's not one negative response.
No one was attacking her. No trending outrage. Just praise, which makes it worse. The Big Three made a decision that wasn't driven by public pressure. It was internal, quiet, controlled, and intentional.
There is beef between the Big Three and Clark after Fever Star turned down the league's $10 million offer to play in the 3-on-3 league.
Let's talk about how this decision backfired. Rachel's tweet, the one that got her fired, went viral. It exploded. She started trending. Multiple YouTube creators picked it up, fans rallied around her, and support for Caitlin only got louder. And what did the Big Three get out of it? A PR disaster. They punished someone with massive audience power, and that audience turned on them. Some creators speculated even further. Was this personal from Ice Cube? Did Caitlin's rejection sting so badly that any public support for her became a red flag? Some fans think so.
That seems so childish and petty that I wonder if Rachel would have, some type of lawsuit or some type of wrongful termination claim.
One creator even asked, Is there a silent rule now in these networks that you can't praise Caitlin Clark? Because that's exactly how it feels. And when you look closer, Rachel wasn't even criticizing the Big Three. In fact, her first tweet that day was a selfie captioned, "Let's work," tagging both CBS Sports and the Big Three.
Firstly, to start the day, I tweeted a selfie and I said, "Let's work," and I tagged the Big Three and CBS Sports.
She was doing her job and showing pride in it. But the moment she shared something about Caitlin, she was done. That's not professionalism. That's politics. And the fallout proves it. In the days following, mainstream media suddenly started changing their tone on Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Supporters noticed a shift, almost like a memo went out. Dial it back on the Caitlin hype. That's how paranoid this landscape has become. It's not just that Clark is successful, it's that her success threatens the old guard. And now even acknowledging it can cost you a job. So let's be clear, this wasn't about Rachel being distracted. This wasn't about a competing broadcast. This was about control. This was about silencing anyone who dares to uplift Caitlin Clark during a time when she's reshaping the entire narrative of women's basketball.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
And Rachel unintentionally became a casualty of that shift. Now let's talk about what this means for Caitlin Clark and why she should reject the Big Three permanently, loudly, and publicly. Let's get one thing out of the way. The Big Three didn't just fire Rachel Demita. They sent a message to anyone who dares to support Caitlin Clark on their time. And if that's how they operate, then Caitlin owes them absolutely nothing. Not now, not ever. Because when a league decides to punish someone for simply acknowledging a player's greatness, it's no longer just about business. It's about control, ego, and silencing loyalty. The Big Three thought they could buy Caitlin Clark's brand for $10 million. That's what they offered her.
He tried to go get her and put her and her star power in that league.
2 years, $5 million a year. That's more than the WNBA rookie contract, more than most overseas deals, and a clear sign that Ice Cube recognized her as a once-in-a-generation talent. And yet, despite the money, Caitlin said no. She chose to start her career with the Indiana Fever and try to build something within the WNBA system. That took guts. That took values. And now those same values should guide her next move. Because here's the real kicker. After offering Caitlin the bag, the Big Three turned around and fired someone simply for tweeting about her. Think about how insane that is. One moment they're begging for her star power.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
The next, they're cutting ties with anyone who dares to shine a light on it. That's not just hypocritical, it's hostile. If Caitlin were to ever accept an offer from the Big Three now, she wouldn't just be ignoring what happened to Rachel. She'd be legitimizing a league that views support for her as a fireable offense. And make no mistake, this wasn't some anonymous intern getting caught breaking rules. This was Rachel Demita, the queen of basketball content on YouTube, a respected journalist, someone who has worked with 2K, Overtime, and the NBA. She has built an empire around elevating women's basketball and WNBA visibility.
She is no longer working for the Big Three Basketball League, which is owned by none other than hip-hop superstar mogul Ice Cube.
Her support of Caitlin wasn't a gimmick. It's part of the reason Caitlyn has become such a force. Creators like Rachel helped tell her story, helped fans fall in love with her journey, and gave her moments the attention mainstream networks refused to.
I wouldn't even be shocked if the Indiana Fever called her up and said, hey, how about you come run our social media or work for us?
So when the Big Three punished Rachel, they weren't just firing a reporter. They were cutting down one of Caitlyn's most visible supporters. And that should matter to Caitlyn, because right now, she's in a position of massive influence. Everything she touches trends. Her jersey sales top the charts. Her games set records. Her name has become the center of the cultural storm around women's sports. And if she even hints at backing the Big Three after this, it would undermine everything her rise has stood for, especially the freedom for women in media to speak up without fear of being silenced.
We're not gonna allow y'all to keep supporting her this loud.
Rejecting the Big Three publicly wouldn't just be about protecting her image. It would send a bigger message, one that women in sports media desperately need right now. That if you support someone like Caitlyn Clark, you shouldn't be punished. You shouldn't be fired. You shouldn't be targeted. Caitlyn can use her platform to make that clear. She doesn't need the Big Three, but right now, the Big Three needs her.
I believe her agents were hating on it because her agents that she has are also NBA. They got a lot of NBA guys that they make millions off of. So I think they was like, man, we don't care if she making more money. She gonna go back to the WNBA. We're gonna keep everybody happy. We're gonna keep making our money from the boys.
And she can set a powerful standard by refusing to lend her name or presence to a league that tried to silence someone on her side. Let's also be honest about the reach and perception problem the Big Three just created for itself. Rachel Demita wasn't just bringing professional polish. She was bringing an audience that the Big Three desperately needs. She has over 2 million combined followers across platforms, and her YouTube channel alone routinely outperforms some of the league's own highlights.
Rachel Demita does big numbers. She does big girl views.
That level of influence is priceless, especially when you're competing against the NBA, WNBA, Olympics, and a crowded sports media landscape. Now, that audience is angry. Creators are angry. Fans are angry. And more importantly, they're watching Caitlyn to see how she responds. Her silence may be understandable, but her distance now needs to be undeniable. If she lets this go quietly, the message gets blurred. But if she takes a stand, even subtly, by affirming her loyalty to her team and her vision, it will reinforce her brand as one that values independence, integrity, and real support. The bigger picture here is about respect. If a league can't handle a sideline reporter tweeting about an iconic performance without throwing a tantrum, how would they ever treat Caitlyn if she signed on? What happens when she has a disagreement? When she supports a cause? When she calls out injustice? If Rachel got fired for 8 words, what kind of leash would Caitlyn have? That's not a partnership. That's a trap. Caitlyn Clark represents the future.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlyn Clark.
And not just of women's basketball, but of how athletes can shift culture. The Big Three had a chance to be part of that wave. Instead, they sent a signal that they'd rather protect their ego than empower the moment. So now it's Caitlyn's turn to send a message back. No second. This wasn't just about a tweet. It was about control, silence, and punishing anyone who dares to celebrate Caitlyn Clark. Rachel Demita.
She's by far one of the best basketball analysts in the game. Pretty much the queen of the WNBA YouTube content. She do big girl numbers, and she's a well-respected figure in this industry.
Didn't bash a league. She didn't skip her job. She didn't even say anything controversial. She simply showed love to a player who's changing the game. And for that, she got fired.
This is just another weird thing to add to the Caitlyn Clark effect.
That speaks volumes. And now Caitlyn Clark has the perfect opportunity to respond without saying a word.
The WNBA, they released numbers for NBA TV.
Caitlin Clark drew 620,000 plus viewers on NBA TV.
It is a crazy high viewership. Crazy high for NBA TV.
Caitlin Clark makes her return. Caitlin Clark back in action, and 300,000 people showed up.
TV ratings are up 300% since Caitlin Clark entered the league.
By never working with the Big Three, by making it clear, even through her silence, that she stands with the people who stand with her. Because any league that treats her name like a threat doesn't deserve to profit from it. Rachel will be fine. She's built her name with integrity, reach, and loyalty.
Rachel Demita does big numbers. She does big girl views.
The Big Three, on the other hand, just alienated the very audience they've been trying to win. Caitlin Clark owes them nothing. And if anything, she should slam the door shut for good. They wanted her spotlight. Now they can sit in the dark.